This video is brought to you by my new book, Delivery Run and Other Stories of the Bizarre and Terrifying. If you're looking for a nice collection of short stories of horror and strange fiction, then by all means check out the links in the description. To say Sonic Frontiers had a lot going against it would be an understatement. For the longest time, Sonic has struggled with the 3D space, with each three-dimensional entry of the blue blur being at best a mixed bag, or at worst something like Sonic 06. But with this game, Sonic Team clearly wanted to redefine what people thought a 3D Sonic game was, and finally set a formula to build upon and refine. And they did this by going open world. An interesting decision that got a lot of people's noggins a-jogging. Then Sega showed off some gameplay footage and everyone thought it was shit, with seemingly empty environments and lackluster animations. But for me, I was still willing to give it a chance. Then after trying out a demo at PAX this year, I was pleasantly surprised and genuinely looking forward to the game. Now after playing it for as long as I could, I can say this about Sonic Frontiers. It's honestly balls of fun! Go play it! Okay, for real. Hyperbole aside, yeah, this is actually a fun game and paints a positive direction for 3D Sonic games to take. For one, the open world actually works a treat. When you first enter one, yeah, it is pretty bare bones, but you reveal more of the map by finding and completing these small challenges. Doing this also spawns in more grind rails and boost pads, letting you explore more efficiently, even adding in some platforming challenges that are necessary for advancing in the story. Sonic also does control really well. He's never too fast or feels like he's flying out of your control. Even when you're using the boost, it doesn't feel like you're going so fast that you can't react to anything in time. There is, however, an issue of Sonic flipping out on certain level geometry, where he basically just flips out after running over specific spots on the ground that not only slows him down, but makes him navigate the spot like he's having a seizure. This is a part of a bigger problem that plagues Sonic Frontiers, and that is that it is a very rough game. Rough doesn't necessarily mean bad here. Rather, it means janky. The most obvious example would be the game's draw distance, which is shockingly awful. As you reveal more of the map, this will become far more apparent, eventually reaching a point where you can't walk 10 feet without grind rails, running walls, and bounce pads suddenly popping into existence around you, and this gets worse the faster you go. What's more is that these platforming pieces don't really have any artistry to them. They're not stylized to actually feel like they're part of the world, instead it just feels like they're there. So when they appear, it's like random objects are just popping into existence, giving some credence to the tech demo comparisons of the early gameplay footage. Then there's the texture work, which honestly sucks. The textures in the open world and the surrounding water are blurry as all hell when you get a chance to look at them up close, and Sonic doesn't fare much better himself. It's only ever once in a while, but when the camera does get up close on him, you can see that he's roughly textured with too much hair and quill detail all over his body. The attempt at realistically texturing him makes no sense, considering that Sonic's design is very much in the realm of the cartoonish. A surprise delight, though, was the game's combat system. I bet you wouldn't expect that from a Sonic game. It's no Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, but it is a solid and simple combo-driven system where timing and special moves can let you string along some lengthy combos that need genuine skill to pull off. Hell, the game even borrows the training sessions from Bayonetta. While you're waiting for the game to load, a special stage will appear where you're free to practice combat and platforming combos. And I'll be honest, it's a lot of fun to nail these. There's even special attacks in Sonic's arsenal that are literally him just running in rings around enemies. Doing these, though, does interrupt the flow of combat, but also opens up extra combat opportunities to soften up the enemies, and there are even some foes that are designed to be fought with this in mind, and it's even essential for, well, completing some of the open world challenges. Throw in some mini-boss enemies that are equal parts combat challenge and unique puzzle, and Sonic Frontiers' combat system is one that's simple, but does a lot with what it can do and lays a foundation for something better in the future. Something else I wasn't expecting from this game was it taking inspiration from Shadow of the Colossus. Each open world has a unique titanic giant to fight at the end of its chapter. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to put all the time into the game I wanted to, so I was only able to encounter the first one, but it was still fun. Like some of the mini-bosses, the Titans are part platforming challenge, where you have to climb up along its body in order to reach the 7th Chaos Emerald to trigger the real fight. I won't lie, the platforming portion of these encounters is my favourite part, while the actual fighting portion of the encounter, it can be lacking. It really boils down to just dodging the Titan's attacks while flying toward one of its weak points to deliver optimal damage, as you try to bring it down before the clock runs out, which is where the problems with these fights come from. See, it's the amount of rings that you have that determine the time limit, as it counts down, and if you run out, you have to try again, with the same amount of rings. So if you didn't stock up or upgrade your ring capacity like I did initially, then you're going to lose regardless, no matter what you do. But if you do have enough rings, then the fight can lose or lessen its sense of urgency, since health isn't an issue and you'll only lose if you routinely stuff up on the dodging. Regardless though, the Titans do still act as a decent challenge in their own right. Their roaming around the map also adds a nice spectacle leading up to the fight, and the music while fighting them absolutely kicks ass. Now it's time to speak about something I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. The cyberspace levels. During Frontier's development, the director was very open about how he wanted to redefine what people thought a 3D Sonic game was. In much the same way, Unleashed, more or less, set the template with what came after. But it looks like they thought that style of gameplay still had some value. These cyberspace levels are nice challenge levels you need to do in order to unlock the Chaos Emeralds in order to reach the Titans. They act as a throwback to the more linear level design of Sonic Unleashed, but they are much more refined and kept short so they never outstay their welcome. They're a surprise highlight for the game, not only because, well, they're fun, but because you can redo them or restart them in a snap, letting you redo them like you could redo a level in Hotline Miami. It also helps that each one is colourful, animated, and has its own unique challenges. And of course backed up with some of the best music in an already good soundtrack. Hell, thanks to these, I now want Sega to put out a remaster of Sonic Unleashed, just so I can try out the levels that inspired these cyberspace ones. But of course, I need to talk about the story. I haven't touched on that one yet. The story for Sonic Frontiers is one that is well told, but overall a mixed bag. The plot was written by Ian Flynn, who worked on the IDW comics, and he actually did a good job. The story has its emotional ups and downs as Sonic looks for his friends as he's exploring the Starfall Islands, with character interactions that feel organic and entirely in character. Hell, Amy isn't portrayed as the usual comedic lovesick puppy she usually is. You can tell she has affection for Sonic, but it's not front and center in all there is to her, yet how they interact is very much in line with them understanding the situation that they're in. Where the narrative falls short though is in tonal consistency. In one scene, the writing will be emotional like it's Breath of the Wild, the next it's going to be lighthearted and silly like it's one of the Deke cartoons, then all of a sudden it's going to be serious and grim as it hints at the tragic history of a now extinct civilization. The tonal whiplash can make the narrative hard to take seriously at times, and hints that maybe it needed some more editing before being implemented into the game. But that doesn't stop it from being enjoyable, and if nothing else, you can laugh at how it can change almost on a dime. There are some other issues with the game on the technical front, like how the frame rate is capped at only 30 to 60 FPS options for PC, or how it refused to play on full screen on my laptop, or how the draw distance is apparently even worse on the Nintendo Switch, but for me, those are really just nitpicks that don't impact what is a fun game too severely. I stand by my recommendation at the start of this review, go play it. It is rough, but it's also a fun game, and it lays a foundation for genuine potential greatness that future titles titles can easily build upon, possibly even with the help of some outside collaboration to really make it pop. I mean, imagine this game with a combat system designed by a studio like Platinum Games, or an open world designed by a studio like Avalanche Studios. That would be awesome. Regardless, I can see Sonic Team putting out great things as they build upon what this Diamond in the Rough does. Alright, hey, thanks for checking out this video, I really do appreciate it. If you really enjoyed it, please hit the like and the subscribe buttons, that would really, and I mean really, help me out. Now for the next upcoming game review, I'm going to be taking a look at the Callisto Protocol. Sorry for both this review and Callisto Protocol reviews for being late, but hey, better late than never. I've also got some planned shorts that I've been behind on thanks to other projects, but I'll try to get them done as soon as I can. I got all that and more coming out, so please stick around.